I'm not sure if you have ever heard of the term leaky sexual energy, but this is about how to preserve your sexual energy. And it's not about you being really conservative and hiding yourself or covering yourself. This is actually more about the energetics dance that can happen in ways that you can't see and sometimes you can sense, but it also has to do with sometimes where accidental boundaries are crossed or people take advantage of you, or there's just like an incoherence between your energy, say your feminine energy, and a masculine trying to take. So there have been times in my life where, for example, many years ago, there was this guy that was my friend, okay? He's not my type at all, but occasionally we would hang out and we had some like business ideas, and like I myself have a flirty personality. Unfortunately, being friendly and flirty can be taken the wrong way. While being flirty, I also didn't have really good boundaries. So if I would ever kind of assert myself, I'd say it in such a soft, fluffy way that it was easy to walk over that boundary. So for example, I remember one time we were like hanging out and it's like, oh, come to this music studio. We're gonna be recording and I really want you to do like the jingle to this song for my business. I was like, oh, cool, opportunity. This can be nice. I'm being friendly and chummy is what I call it. And there was, we're in the way to the space. He like, just like being myself. And I enjoy being myself, but myself can be taken in different ways. And I've had to have that awareness. But he kind of like slapped my butt. And I realized I'm like, oh, I don't like want it to be like that. And so I remember telling him, I was like, hey, like, so I just want you to know this is like brother sister energy for me. And I just want to keep it, you're like my brother, and I'm like really playful with the way I say it. But I thought that I said it in a way that was understood. Now, there's a chance that the energy, if there was sexual energy that was leaky, even though I had no desire to be with him intimately, I later took ownership. I'm like, I don't know if I just gave him the green light, even though I was saying red light, but my energy was saying something different, which is where we'll get to leaky sexual energy in a second. But later that day, I'm like still being myself, and he just grabs my butt. Even after I'd said, okay, like, let's just keep it brother, sister, and the way I'm talking, you can hear my tone, like, oh, like da-da-da, da-da-da-da. It's not like very assertive, right? And I remember thinking, God, I thought I told him it wasn't like that for me, because I like really was not attracted to him. That was like, ugh, like a bit ick for me. But that's not the only time that that's happened. Dating back years, I remember that I was hanging out in my boyfriend's bedroom, like my first serious boyfriend, and one of his guy friends, I was like sitting on the bed, being cute and cozy, and like my behaviors are like really loving. And unfortunately, sometimes having like I don't know if you identify with this, being an affectionate, loving woman you have to have some discernment of how you share your energy and your physicality with men, because I remember, and I never told anybody about this, but I was with my boyfriend of several years, and one of our closest guy friends were like sitting on the bed, and we're just being like cozy, but there's nothing like sexual happening or anything like that. And I was wearing a loose shirt, and he just put his hand right inside my shirt and just squeezes my boob. And I'm like, and he's still holding it, and there's people around. And I remember thinking like, hold on. Like, I never consented to this. I never gave you the green light. Like, we're just being friendly and chummy, and I'm like a flirty person. But I remember being like, spinning out in my head like, I don't want my boyfriend to see this, because I don't want him to think that I said this was okay. And it just like, his hand went away. I maybe like kind of like gently nudged, because my behavior around boundaries was always kind and gentle, because I wanted to be peaceful, but in turn made me a pushover. And I never said anything. I never addressed it, because I just took it. And that's the thing about like, when you start learning where the line between like this, like the sexual energy has been put into you or onto you or trying to hook you, but if you're not able to communicate, in a really clear way, sometimes these things could keep happening. And I believe that from my experience in life, if I haven't learned the lesson, that something might show itself in a different way until I do. This is my own kind of belief around it. And there were other times that a situation would happen and I'm being really nice and a guy would do something and I'm like, ooh, I don't like that. But I didn't know how to hold myself as a mature woman to communicate with integrity. And like, there's different ways that you can communicate. And I actually want to give you a little tool right now. So for example, if you're in a situation and say a guy is like, you're being flirty, say that you have like, kind of like a personality, you want to be friendly and flirty, but some guy actually does like makes a pass at you. So this is a way to kind of defrag the energy so that you can actually stand up for yourself, but not in a way that you feel like you're messing up the space. So you could be like, you know what? Okay, so he like grabs your butt and you're like, you know what? I gotta say, I can appreciate, once again, lead with kindness is a big way I like to deal with these things. I appreciate that you think my body is nice, but I just want to be really clear. I want to lead my life as a mature woman, and I'm actually not available for you to touch my body like that. Is that okay? I really care about our connection, but that's really where my space and your space needs to end. So please don't touch me like that. Can we agree to that? It's almost like, it's a bit of words, and I believe that the more we talk about this, like every woman's gonna find their voice and move past the suppression of like, I don't wanna disrupt the space to just like, you know, be okay with what's happening. But that is that, a bit of that broken little girl energy that I had to step through. It was like, and you know what's interesting is I have learned that if I use calling myself, I want to lead my life as a mature woman. If I lead with that, it's really hard for a man or a boy to shut you down or debunk you. But if you're like, oh, like, I don't really like that, they might be like, oh, what about your boyfriend? Like, I don't know, like almost like trying to play a game with your head, your energy, because there's a lot of like game out there to try to get into a girl's pants. And I know that some of this is hyperbolic, but I know that this exists. Like guys that have game, and sometimes the game is to kind of like make a woman feel less powerful or kind of like play this energy. So if you're really not aligned with a guy giving you this energy and you don't want it, you know what? And like I said, I like to lead with kindness. You could say, I'm grateful that you think that I am pretty, if that's the case. But I'm leading my life as a mature woman, and you're actually doing something that doesn't feel good to me. So if you don't mind, can you please stop? And the way that I'm communicating and showing you is like, so the difference of what I used to do in my teens when some guys would do stuff like, if they do something like, oh, like, I don't really like that. Can you stop? See how questionable my voice is? See how questionable my body language is? I don't know. It's not certain of itself, which means if a guy is trying to like get to you, he's like, oh, this could be easy. And maybe he's not even aware of it. But if you don't hold your center and you're like, this is who I am, I want to meet you as a mature woman. And I'm actually not available for this. There's just a level of certainty and coherence in your communication and your body and your energy that will allow you to hold your sexual energy and not allow it to be like hooked into or taken from. So there's another, okay, coming back to like leaky sexual energy. This has happened to me in my life, and where sometimes like older men that I really was not attracted to in my friendly nature, I don't know, they might have a job opportunity or something. There's somehow that I let a man have more authority because there could be something, and I don't know if any of you could identify with this, but sometimes like a man has a role, he's like, oh, I have a job opportunity. And like, there's a way of trying to see like from him to me, if like, oh, is there like interest there or availability? Something that's really important to preserving your sexual energy is becoming aware if there is some kind of like pedestal that an older man, and I'm really actually like speaking about older guys right now, older men could be leveraging their power, their resources, the potential opportunity, maybe a job, and put you here. So then it's like, oh, like they can take from you because they've built this thing. This has happened to me more times than I can count when I wasn't holding frame as a mature woman. And like some guy, oh, maybe I pedestaled him. Oh, he's a multimillionaire. Oh, it's okay if he does that, whatever. Like, you don't deserve to have anyone do anything to you that you don't feel good about. And maybe that's the first time you've ever heard that. But I never saw this modeled growing up where, like, you as a woman deserve to be sacred in your body, in your field, and in your energy. And I'm here to say you deserve that. It's actually better for the world. It's better for your relationships, better for the world. So if you're ever in a circumstance where you pedestal a man, say he's older, he has all this stuff, but there's a bit of this like leaky energy where he's kind of seeing like what he could get from you, learning how to communicate and have that discernment of like, wow, like, because awareness is key. And like so many times in my life when maybe like an older guy, and I'm even talking like 25, 30 years older than me, would kind of like, oh, like be flirty or like be in this energy where I'm like, I actually am not available for that, and finding a way to communicate so I can preserve myself and not feel like, oh, I feel like a little bit like a flower that was plucked from, like, oh, it's a bit gross to me. It's important to have this conversation, I think, with friends and girls because it's not really talked about. And I know that this is an edgy thing to say, really edgy, but they say that prostitution is the oldest, like, job. Now, I don't know where that information came from, but I know it's circulated before. And if that's the case, then in some way the feminine is imprinted to give it. And if you don't want to give it, then don't. And this is just more than anything about you feeling in your body what's right for you, what doesn't feel good, what feels like someone's trying to take from you, and being able to communicate that. And there was one other part of this topic, okay, sexual self-preservation. So there's been times when, when I used to drink a bit more, this is kind of interesting, okay, but here's like a different archetypal difference between my kind of like broken, ridiculous girl and like a mature, empowered woman. And this is interesting, but I imagine one time or another, you all have had a guy buy a drink for you. This is not a free drink, ladies, girls, whoever's. It is a drink with the exchange to get energy from you. And this is where the conversation around like, it's not just about sexual, but it's about the energetic of your body and your energy field. So something that I used to do sometimes is, yeah, like if a guy wanted to buy me a drink, I was aware that, and I used to only want to get free drinks at bars. I felt I had this story that I should never walk to a bar and buy a drink for myself. Never. And in doing so, what I attracted by the magnetism of that belief system was that maybe a guy would show up and he was like, oh, I'll get you drinks. And I would just be like chummy and whatever. But I was like probably leaky with my sexual energy and I didn't really care. I'm like, give me that drink, whatever. And it's almost like I was kind of like using him. And I'd like to say that I'm not making men wrong for wanting sexual energy or wanting to connect. It's actually being like aware of maybe the equilibrium of also like what you hold in your space and what a man might feel in the space, because there's way more communication that happens non-verbally than verbally. So for example, you want that drink, you kind of like, there's a part of me that kind of used to like, it's not that I used my attractiveness, but like I wanted free drinks. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like one of the cute girls at the bar and I would love to get that free drink. But I realized in doing so, they wanted to talk. They wanted to have a conversation. Do I really want that? So the empowered woman version of me now brings my own money. And if I don't feel like engaging in a conversation or connection, even if it's free, it's not free. What's the cost of my investment in this person energy? Especially if it's a cool person, like, yeah, sure, let's fucking go. But usually if it's a guy, I'll state off the bat, just so you know, you can get me this drink. Set expectations, set energy clearly. But I have a boyfriend. So if that actually changes it for you, you don't have to buy me a drink. Now it just like unhinges the expectation on you to give him something if he thought you were single. But now typically I'm just like, unless I'm with friends and that's what's happening, I just buy myself a drink because I don't need someone to buy it for me with all the hidden expectations and stuff like that. So here's another example. I witnessed a girlfriend of mine at a party, and this guy bought her a drink. Next thing you know, he's like buying several drinks for her, and then, oh, you want a drink too, Heart? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then I looked at her and I was watching this interaction, and it didn't look like someone she would be attracted to. So I just like kind of grabbed her and I was like, hey, you like into this dude or what? She's like, no. And I'm like, well, you're giving him energy like you're into him, and he's like trying to grab on you. And so there's a moment when I told her, I was like, I think that you should respectfully say thank you and then walk away so we can hang out, because it was like he just wouldn't leave the space. It's like suction cupped onto her energy, because then she felt obligated unconsciously to give something to him, or there's this whole thing. And so I ended up being like, can we just go hang out and ditch this guy? And I grabbed her, and then he went to go find her. It's almost like he thought now they're in connection portal because of that happening. So there's just something to be aware of. I was like so annoyed. I'm like, it wasn't even worth the drink. Because then there's this person that feels like they have earned the right to be with you. So that's just like a little take on the expectations that come from a guy getting you a drink. Ladies, your sexual energy is valuable. So next time you're in an experience where it feels like it can be like wanted or expected or taken or trying to be seduced, just remember that like a lot of the world runs around the story that men want women and they want these things, and it's up to us to hold the space for ourselves, the authority, and the self-respect and honor that our sexual energy and our bodies are so valuable and deserved to be honored and respected. But we actually have to learn how to rewrite the story, and we have to learn how to communicate our yes and our no, and hopefully in a beautiful, kind way, because I feel like the imprint of society and the way that men and males and females kind of interact, it's kind of like a pattern that is on repeat. And so we're here to kind of like break the pattern and write a new pattern, which is like, yes, you're sexy, you're seductive, but at what threshold are you being disrespected or dishonored, versus like staying in your energy and holding yourself and letting the world kind of map itself and respect you because you hold that for yourself. So no matter what age you are, like this isn't just about being like young. I know an older woman, any age woman, might not know how to respect herself and to not exchange leaky sexual energy or put a man up on a pedestal. Everyone deserves to find the power of sexual connection and chemistry with whomever they choose, but with a space of like, it's consent, it's honored, it's integral, and it feels good to your mind, body, spirit.